I'm a 25-year-old guy, and my wife is 27. We've been together for 8.5 years. We got legally married 10 weeks ago and had a church wedding 5 weeks ago. 2 weeks later, we went on our honeymoon. During the trip, I noticed for the first time that she was always texting on her phone, trying to hide it. When I asked, she said it was friends or her sister. This made me suspicious, and in the second week, I checked her phone while she was asleep. It was the first time I ever did that. I trusted her, but I found out she was cheating with a 39-year-old guy, a cook from her work, whom she sees daily. I didn't bring it up during the honeymoon to avoid a fight. After looking into it further, I discovered their relationship started at the end of November last year. So, after our engagement, but before our wedding, I don't know why she didn't tell me earlier when we had time to cancel the wedding. I haven't discussed this with my wife yet, but I think she suspects I know something. We still need to choose photos for our wedding album and write thank you letters for gifts. I didn't bring it up until now because of these things, but I'm dying inside and need to do something. I'm checking if I can legally remove her from our rented house, cancel the wedding, or get a divorce. We rented it together, and the contract has both our names. A relevant detail is that the other guy is separated from his wife and has 2 children in their teens. He's not divorcing her now due to loans they need to pay back. Also, they constantly talk about how much they love each other and would like to live their love fully, but they can't right now. As far as I know, the plan is for her to have children with me first, and then when he's ready, they'll get together. I feel guilty thinking about divorce 2 months after our wedding, as we had a big party and received a lot of gifts. But I can't go on like this. I don't even know what I'm expecting from you guys. Maybe I need confirmation that leaving her and getting divorced is the right thing. Thank you for any advice. Update. I talked to a lawyer in our office who doesn't really know about the matter. She gave me contact information for someone who could help. I plan to call today or tomorrow and try to meet with her soon. Update. The lawyer is checking if having another relationship is legally enough for an annulment. It's the first time someone called her so soon after marriage, and she felt bad for me. She'll let me know in a few days what options I have. Update. I can file for an annulment within 6 months of marriage. I have time to talk to the priest about annulling the church wedding. I'll take my school exams in the next 2 weeks and then discuss everything calmly with my wife. The problem is, I have no idea how to start this discussion with her. Saying, "Hey, I know you're cheating on me," sounds bad. Update. I discussed this with our priest, and apparently he can also call for an annulment. But he wants me to talk to my wife first and let her decide if she wants to stay or not. I'm not sure if I want to let her decide because I don't think I can trust her again. I don't know how to begin this discussion, and while there's never a perfect moment, I'd appreciate any advice on what to say or not say. The priest advised me not to focus on her faults, but to express how my feelings are hurt and how our marriage doesn't feel genuine. Instead of talking about forgiveness, I should discuss my willingness to help her. I need to let her know that I'm aware of her cheating, but without revealing all the details. It might be a good idea to meet with my lawyer first to understand the next steps, especially concerning our jointly rented house, before discussing it with my wife. Update. A lot has happened since my last update. I sought advice on whether to discuss the issue, go for divorce, or seek an annulment, as I shared the details of my conversations with a lawyer. The lawyer mentioned the possibility of requesting an annulment within 6 months of marriage. However, since cheating isn't explicitly mentioned in the law as grounds for annulment, a 100% success guarantee isn't assured. In the worst case, I might opt for a divorce. I also consulted our priest, who stated that, from the church's perspective, I can request an annulment anytime, provided I can prove ongoing cheating before, during, and after the marriage. I have all the evidence required for this. Upon sharing the situation with my friends, they advised me to immediately ask her to leave my home. After gathering necessary information, I had a conversation with my wife 3 weeks ago, which involved tears, some yelling, and subsequent discussions in the following days. We even spent a weekend away to talk things over without distractions. She couldn't explain why she cheated and didn't bring it up earlier out of fear of my reaction. Surprisingly, she claimed she still loved me. I asked her to decide between our marriage and the other guy and to figure out what she'd do to save our relationship. Based on her decision, I would determine whether to give it another shot or not. Initially, I was 90% inclined to leave her, and that feeling should have been 100% after a week. As she couldn't give a clear answer about choosing between me and the other guy, I made the decision for her. If she couldn't decide within 3 months of marriage, I couldn't decide to spend my life with her. 2 weeks ago, we decided to end our relationship. Interestingly, she didn't ask me to stay even once. She seemed sad about my departure, but I believe she was also happy to pursue a relationship with the other guy. I informed my parents and brothers last week, and though they were saddened, they understood it was the best decision for me. She told her parents the same day, and they kicked her out, forcing her to stay with friends. Now she has rented an apartment and is moving her belongings out of my house. In 10 days, I'll meet with the lawyer to request a marriage annulment. I need to update the priest that she moved out and then seek an annulment. At this point, I don't know what else to say. My marriage didn't even last 3 months, and my wife was almost relieved to leave me. I believe there's nothing more to discuss. It will take time to get over this, but I'm gradually adjusting to being alone and managing household tasks. Thank you for your support. Now, I have to restart my life, and hopefully, one day I'll find a girl who genuinely loves me. I'm a 22-year-old woman living with my 26-year-old boyfriend. How can I let him know our relationship is over? We've been together for 4 years and 3 months, sharing a home for almost 3. He's smart, caring, and overall a good person. However, despite these qualities, we have significant issues. First, our bed life is lacking, with closeness occurring only once or twice a month, leading to resentment on my part. I tried various solutions like spicing things up, losing weight, and taking care of myself. Despite getting attention from others, my efforts didn't work, and I've brought up the issue countless times, concluding that we're incompatible. Second, I've always been the main support in our relationship. We moved across the country because his brother lives here, and we wanted to attend college elsewhere. I looked for places to stay. We moved out twice, and both times I took care of everything, from organizing our finances to handling his documents. He had a scholarship requiring specific documents. I assisted him in getting a job, paying for his subscription to an online employment agency, and supported us when he lost his job. He's unaware of our bills and deadlines, and I feel like I have to handle everything. Initially ambitious and curious, he now seems stuck in his comfort zone. Besides the lack of closeness, we don't go on dates or celebrate anniversaries. I don't care about presents, but I wish he'd put effort into making things special, which I've done many times. He blames everything on money, but we live in a touristy city with free public transport, so there's no excuse. He prefers staying home and watching Netflix. I reiterate, there's nothing wrong with that, but we're no longer compatible. I've been contemplating a breakup for over a year, waiting for him to be stable in a job he enjoys. Despite earning less than him now, my family can support me if we break up. He is my primary concern. In his eyes, our relationship is perfect and happy, but I'm miserable. How do I tell him it's over? I've been trying to distance myself, but he doesn't seem to understand. Update. I had a serious talk with him, surprising him as he didn't expect it. Although he nearly begged for another chance, my mind was already made up. It took a few weeks to find a new place, and when I did, I left with only my personal belongings. He kept the apartment and furniture, a price I was willing to pay for my freedom. I spent 7 months single, making friends, exploring new places, and meeting someone special. We've been dating for almost 3 months now, and I couldn't be happier. My ex-boyfriend and I are on good terms, and he still texts me occasionally. He's doing fine. I'm completely worn out. The 2 weeks on the road for the launch of a new international office in London, along with a lot of travel, really took it out of me. The toughest part was being away from my girls, and the 16-hour drive home was incredibly tough. Even in first class, I hate being separated from my family. That's always been the case. However, the lifestyle I've provided for my family makes work challenging. Because of high demand, my energy company has expanded to 12 countries. 5 years ago, I bought out my partner Roger. These past 5 years have been tough but valuable. Now, with a new president in charge, I'm ready to step back and enjoy the success. While I'll remain CEO and owner, I plan to share the good news with my girls once I get home. I'm excited about having more time with my family and friends and returning to a normal routine. Don't get me wrong, I love the growth of my company, but deep down my goal has always been to spend more time watching my girls grow up and being with my wife. I'm happy to have the chance to step back and enjoy the results of my hard work at the age of 45. My life has been stressful, but it's always been filled with love and warmth. I wouldn't change a thing, and I'm looking forward to the next chapter of my life with my family. 30 minutes from home, as my driver navigated through traffic jams, I sat in the back seat of the limo, relaxing and sipping a second glass of bourbon poured from the sidebar after leaving the airport. Approaching the circular driveway, the house seemed quiet, but experience told me that in a few minutes the girls would greet their daddy and my wife would welcome me with a warm kiss, promising a wonderful night in her arms. To my horror, I walked into an empty house. The only sound was the driver placing my bags in the lobby. I called out to them, but there was no response. It was strange. The girls were always home when I returned. Hoping everything was fine, I noticed an envelope with my name, written in my wife Zoe's wonderful handwriting. Jonathan, my love, what an incredible journey we've had as husband and wife. I've cherished every minute of the last 16 years and look forward to the next 50 together. You're my whole world, and I can't live without you. Despite missing you, I've waited to express my gratitude and share something important. The other reason is something I feel a need to share. This is something that has been bothering me for the last 6 months. This is something I never expected, and unfortunately, it has become an important part of my life. Everything you've just read is true, and I speak every word from the bottom of my heart. So what I'm about to tell you is the hardest thing I've ever done. No matter how much I love you and will never stop loving you, I have to confess something. I pray that you will understand and not be disappointed in me and not leave me because of this. I've had a man for the last 6 months. I don't have any feelings or love for this man, but we have a bad relationship. The reason I'm telling you this now is because of respect and a deep sense of guilt. I can't live with this guilt anymore, and I need you to know that I've been unfaithful. You'll never understand it, but I don't feel love for him, just an attraction that I can't explain. He does things to me that I can't put into words, and no matter how hard I try, I can't stop. He has become my drowsiness, and I need him in my life. Please believe that I have done my best to keep this a secret from you and not let it affect our lives. Nothing has changed between us since it started, but I understand that it can't end soon, so it's only fair that you find out all about it. No secrets, baby. I love and respect you too much to ever do that. Please understand that my need for him is purely physical, and I will not allow my being with him to interfere with our love or closeness. I just needed to let you know that there's another part of me that I gave to another man. But this part of me has nothing to do with my love for you and the importance of our family. Family is the most important part of my life and my number one value. Nothing will change that. Our girls are staying the night at your mom's, so don't worry about them. And they can't wait to see their dad in the morning. I'm with my friend tonight because I wanted to give you some time alone to read my letter and figure out how things will go from here. I'll be home around 10 p.m. and we can pick up where we left off, as if nothing has changed. Because nothing has changed. Dear, just remember when you read this that you are the love of my life, and I am yours until pass away do us part. I'm yours, baby, and I'll give you anything you want or need. Thank you for being you and the best husband a girl can dream of. To love always and forever, your devoted wife, Zoe. After finishing the letter, I realized that the glass of bourbon I was drinking had now become part of the next wall. I didn't remember even throwing a glass, let alone throwing it with such force that a few shards actually stuck into the wall. The ability to make quick decisions is what led me to success in business, and now I was acting out of habit. I took out a piece of paper and wrote a reply letter, sealed the envelope on the front of which her name was clearly written, and put it on the table next to the envelope that was addressed to me. I put her letter in my pocket, took some luggage, and went up to the girls' room to pack clothes for a few days. As we had a short trip ahead of us in the car, I called my supervisor and told him to prepare a corporate plane for a trip to San Francisco, where I was going to stay for the near future with my girls. At 6:30 that evening, I was driving to my parents' house to pick up my girls. I keep extra clothes and everything I need for a long stay in a corporate apartment near my California office. When I arrived at my parents' place, the girls ran out with big smiles and gave me a bunch of kisses. They were happy to see me, and it felt like my first real smile since coming home. "Dad's back. We missed you, Daddy. We thought we wouldn't see you until tomorrow. Mom said you wouldn't be back until then. She was supposed to meet her friend Jamie tonight, and we came to see Grandma and Grandpa." I hugged and kissed them, tears flowing from the love and the realization that their lives were about to change because of their mom. Jamie's name caught my attention, and I stored it in my memory for a while. After the girls calmed down, I surprised them, saying we were going on a trip for a few days, flying on the company plane for a fun vacation. Convincing the girls was easy, but explaining to Mom and Dad was a different story. They felt my pain and objected until I let them read the letter. I explained I needed time to think and plan without emotions. I left a letter for Zoya and promised to call her from the plane. I assured them I'd be back within 2 weeks, and they shouldn't worry about the girls. They'd be well taken care of. Boarding the plane, the girls played around, and Jessica, a friendly flight attendant, kept them company. We've become good friends over the past 2 years. Alone on flights can create friendships. It was 11 o'clock, and the girls were asleep. The cabin lights dimmed, creating a calm atmosphere. That's when I made a call to Zoe. I informed her of my current location and the potential communication challenges due to the altitude. I reassured Zoe about having received and read her letter, mentioning that the girls were with me and would contact her in the morning. I promised to reach out to her in the next few days and advised her to contact my parents if she needed anything. As the conversation concluded, I wished her a good night. I hung up before she could respond. The flight went smoothly, landing at 1 o'clock. I took the girls to a waiting limo and later went to my house. After putting them to bed, I fell asleep without unpacking. We'll have time for that tomorrow. Jennifer, 13, and Cassie, 15, looked at me curiously after the call. Cassie, the eldest, had a sad look. She inquired if Mom had betrayed me, and her question broke my heart. Holding back tears, I shook my head and instructed them to get dressed for dinner. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but I knew with love and support, they'd handle the challenges. Earlier that morning, before the girls woke up, I had a call with George, our family lawyer on the East Coast. I've known him for 20 years and told him the story without any preamble. I conveyed that I needed to understand what a divorce would look like and how challenging it might be. I expressed my desire for custody, regardless of the cost, and emphasized that there would be no reconciliation, counseling, or forgiveness. I wanted this over as soon as possible. The call went silent, allowing him a moment to absorb the news, probably as surprised as I was when I read Zoe's letter. He expressed his condolences, mentioning how he and Kate thought we were the perfect couple. He couldn't wrap his head around how she could do this. But he understood what I was asking. He reminded me of the prenup that Roger insisted on when we started the company, citing Roger's own experience with infidelity in his previous business. He explained that the prenup was in place and current. If Zoe had truly had an affair, she would give up rights to the kids and any financial benefits from the marriage. Over the years, while the company grew, he had maintained a premarital relationship, worked with our corporate lawyers, and placed most of our assets into a trust. I was the beneficiary, house, cars, bank accounts, investments, all under this untouchable trust. If she breached the marriage contract, she would leave with what she brought in and lose rights to the kids. While we didn't set this up for this situation, it seemed to work in my favor. George, you're right. I never thought she'd betray me. I completely forgot about the prenup. But George, all I have is a letter admitting her infidelity. What else do we need? Well, a confession on video or tape, along with photos or a confession from her partner would help. George, can you handle this while I'm in California with the girls? Money is no issue, and I want proof as soon as possible. I don't want this dragging on. There's a guy my girls mentioned, Jamie. The only Jamie I know is the tennis instructor at our country club. Can you arrange for a private investigator to start with him? I'm sure she'll contact him while I'm away. Of course. Jamie, the tennis instructor, was my sworn enemy. They were careless, making it easier for the private firm to conduct the investigation. With my consent, They placed a tracker on Zoya's car, audio recording devices inside, and video cameras in our house. All evidence was legitimate as my company controlled them through a trust. In a week, they had enough recordings and her written confession to move forward. I never listened or watched. I didn't want these images haunting me. Jamie turned out to be a womanizer, having affairs with other married women. He was younger, fit, and a favorite among the ladies in the club. Zoe was just one of his many affairs there. Middle-aged married women were easy targets for him. George called me 5 days later with updates. "Jonathan, we have all the necessary evidence. What do you want us to do? Are you still going to divorce Zoe?" Without hesitation, I said, "Draw up the divorce papers meticulously. I want her to feel the pain she caused me. I'll be at home when she's notified on Tuesday. I want to be there when she gets home. Are you sure about the divorce, Jonathan?" "Definitely, as we're discussing now. But I need to think about the girls and talk to her before signing the papers." "It's tough, George, and I hope you never experience this. I love her, but I can't forgive what she did. Whatever you decide, I'm here to help, Jonathan. Stay in touch, and we'll keep you updated once she's notified." We got home on Tuesday morning around 9 a.m., and the girls were happy to be back. I told them that after their mom finished a tennis lesson, I wanted them to stay in their rooms while we talked. They seemed upset and worried, but I tried my best to assure them that things would be okay. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. Even though Zoe was still the girl's mom, I covered the first 3 months of rent for a small, furnished 2-bedroom apartment near our house and the club. I also bought her a 3-year-old Toyota Samga so she could drive. I knew I didn't have to do all this, but I wanted my kids to see their mom whenever they wanted. The fancy cars and luxurious lifestyle were now a thing of the past. She gave up everything for some tennis player she wouldn't see again. Despite everything, I even helped her get a job at the country club. Once I dropped the lawsuit, they agreed to let go of Jamie and assist Zoe with employment. She's no longer a member of the country club, but works as a waitress there to make ends meet. It must have been humiliating for her to go from a club's famous member to one of their waitresses. Jamie had dumped Zoe as soon as the lawsuit started, leaving her with no one to turn to. The girls informed me that their mom cried every night for the love and lifestyle she gave up to satisfy selfish desires. It took all this for her to realize the mistake she made and how foolish it was to think I'd accept her selfish desires. I felt sad about how things turned out and told the girls that I still loved their mom, encouraging them to love and forgive her. They stayed close, visiting her on weekends. Later that year, during one of her visits to pick up the girls, we had our first friendly conversation. She admitted her mistakes and asked for forgiveness. "Jonathan, I know we won't be together anymore and you'll never trust me again, but I want to apologize and beg you to forgive me. I now understand the hurt I caused. I used to be spoiled and didn't care about anyone but myself. I felt entitled and didn't consider how you'd feel. Now I see my mistakes and how much I hurt you. If there was a way to undo it all, I'd do it in a second. Losing you was the worst thing that ever happened to me. I miss you and your love so much that it hurts. I've matured over the last year, and looking back, I can't believe how foolish I was. I'm sorry for ruining everything."